It's recording.
I heard the ding.
Ding.
Stop.
Have a time. Da-na-na-na.
No. That joke's up.
Just coming into my channel like it's cool or whatever.
Yeah, I was in here before. Well, yeah. Hi guys, I'm Rose. Remember me? It's been a while since I've actually been on camera, so excuse me if I'm kind of... I thought I was working on it, but apparently it's a little bit different when you're actually doing the real thing. Really, I just wanted to make an announcement, really, of what I'm gonna wind up being, like, into or delving into more. And that's more of, like, I guess, self-love, because that's something that's not really, like, shown to us or told to us when we were growing up, or as when we were kids. So hopefully now that we're adults and you got another adult talking to you, because I know there's a whole bunch of other people on YouTube that are doing this, but you know, each story is their own. So hopefully my story will resonate with somebody and help them out. And that's part of my goal as well. Apparently, I'm supposed to be interviewed today.
So what exactly are we doing here today?
Well, for the most part, I want to, I guess, update people on what's been going on. And other than that, tell you guys about the new project, which is me doing a Grateful Journal. A lot of people already know what a Grateful Journal is. Basically, you're supposed to write it down inside of a book. Tell people, or not really people, but tell yourself exactly what you're grateful for that day, or for the period of time that you've had since your last entry. Try to pick something new. It can be something that recently happened or something that happened a while ago and has been happening since. So that would probably be like something I try to do, at least once a week. So I'm going to try to get you guys updated with those, because as cool as it is for you guys to hear this, this is mainly for my self-love and my mental health. Because honestly, before I started doing this, I didn't really know what I was grateful for. After my first and second time, you can really feel like, wow, I really didn't think I felt this way or this strongly about this one particular thing that I'm grateful for.
You ever notice that it's the little things that happen to matter more than the bigger stuff that you do?
Yeah, when you think about it, yeah, because usually it's the little things that define more than the big things. The big things usually happen because of circumstance, I guess you can say. A lot of things just piled up on top of each other is usually one circumstance that a lot of people go through that makes them act out like big. So the little things like the day-to-days, a person telling you how they feel about you every day, or a friend saying hi to you every day, seeing the same person, stuff like that, reliability, those little things usually define more than, in my mind, the big things.
So at what point in your life did you finally decide to express how grateful you are?
Really recently, like really recently, I had a friend advise me to do a couple of things in order to help me, because he understood that I was having some issues, and he understood that everybody goes through, not everybody, but a lot of people go through the same thing that I was going through. And one of the things that they did in order to make themselves feel better, or to understand themselves a little bit more, was the Grateful Journal. And it originally started, writing in a book. That's why it's a journal.
Yeah.
But I thought it would be a little bit easier for me to express and understand if I were to express it to a bigger audience, and hopefully help somebody in the process.
Was there anything that you were going through prior to getting the suggestion of doing, possibly doing, like, a Grateful Journal or a video?
Well...
I also want to point out that you don't have to say anything, like, super specific if you want to generalize it to make it easier for you.
Yeah, okay, let's just do this. Since the time that I've left, I get what was called, I guess, Juniors Run the Vlogs, and changed onto that, I mainly focused on work, relationships, and, self-progress. had a really good relationship that lasted for a while, and I loved it. She's actually a YouTuber as well, so unfortunately, I'm not gonna divulge that. However, she in a lot helped me out with a lot of things, but unfortunately, it ended. So because of that, it kind of affected me a lot. On top of I was having money issues, like job issues per se, and other people like they were making me feel like crap basically. And once again, I'd love to go into like more of this stuff, but at a later time. That piled on and piled on, and then that's when I kind of like vented a bit, and my friend noticed, and then just went on from there.
What is your idea uh, going forward with these grateful journals? What do you hope that it can accomplish or improve for you, or maybe even somebody watching this?
That's one of the big ones. I'm hoping that the struggles that I'm going through, or the things that I'm dealing with, will wind up helping somebody else who's going through either the same things or something similar. My super main number one goal would be for me to develop more self love in the confidence standpoint. I really do think that me understanding more about what I'm grateful for will better help me in the confidence way, so I can like express myself a little bit more, especially when it comes to these videos. I'm not really a huge like confident person. However, I do try to put myself out there as much as I possibly can. It's a weird dynamic, but I'm weird, so it works.
Maybe this would be like a two-part question in a way. Uh, what about self-love is super important to you?
Oh.
Like, or why do you think it's important to have in your life?
I mean, that's a throw off question due to the fact that I'm just like that's something you don't know ever hearing somebody
Or
being
get
asked.
asked, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I was going with this question, because you really don't hear about it a lot. Like, you hear about it through like social media. Like, you should build your self love for you,
Yeah.
not for anybody else, because everybody's all into relationships and they never really work on themselves, and you don't want to be part of that toxicity that you end up getting sometimes when you get into certain relationships.
Well, for me I think it's important for self-love because you really can't do nothing to anybody else unless you can actually love yourself. You can't do something good for your life if you hate yourself. You can't do stuff for your life if you're always dreading life itself. So, finding that self-love within you becomes top priority because enjoyment comes from love, your love of doing something. That's enjoyment. If you can't have that self-love, you're losing that aspect because that is an aspect of self-love.
Yeah.
You're dulling it. Anything that all your experiences in life just dwindle, and I'm speaking from experience because everybody who actually knows me knows that I have extreme depression and extreme anxiety, and just like you
Yeah.
firsthand, we have huge issues when it comes to enjoyment, and we try to find it in many different ways, which tends to limit the amount of enjoyment that we can have with many different things. If you have self-love and you can find enjoyment and experience full enjoyment in everything that you do, then you can just overall change your whole entire aspect of life, or how you feel about other things that don't actually pertain to those specific.
Your perspective does change a little bit as you start the progress to self-love. Have you noticed any changes so far? Or I don't usually like to use the word change because it's like, to me that feels like a whole drastic thing. I want to go maybe with more improvements. Have you seen any more improvements?
I have, like, since I've started this, definitely. Because it's the fact that I'm actually looking deeper into myself and how I feel. It's giving me the confidence to continue looking. It's making it easier, I guess, in a sense, to continue exploring. It's improving a lot of the aspects of, I guess, reflection that you have to take in order to deal with this type of stuff, something that a lot of people are afraid of doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm enjoying it more than I actually thought I would. I actually thought I would dread this process. But even me doing it once a week, which I have been, or lately it's like once every 2 weeks, it still brings me great joy to do it in that time period than it did when I didn't do it at all.
Yeah.
I can honestly look at somebody and say thank you and mean it a lot of the time because I don't just hate everybody in this world. You know what I'm saying? Because of my depression.
So I'm kind of glad that you mentioned the mental illness. Now, on a day-to-day basis, aside from stress, because as adults, that's kind of just like the number one thing that everybody deals with. How do you deal with everything? Like, let's say you're going through a stressful day as with work or anything in particular, and you start to feel depressed or you start to feel anxious. Are there any grounding techniques that you can suggest, or anything that you do in particular that helps you?
Oh, well, I can say one off the top, but I'm gonna wind up saving that for the last part. Let's go with the easy things. Taking a breath. That sounds so basic, and that sounds like something that, duh, don't you think I knew that?
Yeah.
Well, it's not really the fact of taking that breath, it's what you do while you're taking that breath. How you exactly do that breath in order to exhale your problems and your stress and everything instead of just keeping it all pent up. So
how would you show somebody a breathing technique?
easy. I would just say easier to show with your hands. What you want to do is inhale. When you inhale, you want to inhale through your nose, and I do it like a 3 count. 1, 2, 3. When my hands will reach where my chin is, I then breathe out. 1, 2, 3, and that's out my mouth. So inhale through your nose, exhale out your mouth, and doing that a couple of times in a slow 3, I guess second, not even 3 second, 3 count manner. It's really relaxing, and you don't really notice until you're actually doing it on a constant basis. So if you have anger issues, like I have really bad anger issues, doing this actually suppresses a lot of that feeling of anger and irritation. Another thing I wind up doing is, honestly, exercising is really good, even if it's something little. Mine would be dancing. That's really simple to do. Any type of movement with your body, as long as it's to music, is dancing. So that burns calories. That makes you feel. That makes you feel good because of the dopamine that's being released. Because you actually pumping yourself up. You're sweating. You're detoxing your body. All that induces good feelings, which is dopamine, basically. Yeah, did exercise. That's another one that I can't really explain more about exercise. It's pretty self-explanatory. And last but not least, what I usually do is, I'm sorry if anybody doesn't like this inside their area and don't like it overall because they have a bad outlook on it due to society itself. But I partake in smoking marijuana. I usually love to eat it more than anything else because smoking is bad. Vaping is a good choice too, but it's not far behind smoking, so I advise you that if you have the decision to just eat it through edibles or smoking it through a vape or I guess a blunt, wrap, joint, anything, whatever, you want to just strictly go for eating, it's better. When it comes to doing that, I love to do that but stay active. A lot of people like to do that and then just chill. When you do that, you get used to chilling all the time while doing it, so your body gets into that mindset. So that means every time you do it, you're going to be tired, sleepy, chill, all that. That's what you don't want. That gives actually a bad negative outlook to anybody who does do it. And for anybody who actually is like, but I don't want to work, I don't want to do stuff when I'm doing it, that's only because that's what your body knows of right now. Ask anybody who actually works while doing this, who moves around, does things, even exercise at the gym, because it is beneficial. They can tell you it's hard for the first 2 or 3 days probably. After that, your body gets so used to it that it's very beneficial, especially when it comes to decompressing yourself and allowing you to freely think without negativity. That is something that's very beneficial if you actually learn how to use it correctly and in the right state of
Okay,
mind.
so before we actually wrap this up, what are you grateful for today?
Honestly, today I'm grateful for the friends that stick by me, that I don't see on a daily basis, who still check up on me when things aren't so severe. I am really thankful for that, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have a way to express myself in those situations where I feel alone. And to you guys, I love you. You guys have done a lot for me. And I just want you to know that I'll never forget that. And I will pay you back someday in my life any which way I can. You best believe that.
I guess just sign off.
Well, this is your boy Rose, NSW for life. You guys will understand that in probably a later video. Warrior all day. Thank you very much for tuning in. Have a wonderful day. Love and peace.